gotta go. Girl talk.
Boom! Or should I say optic blast?
Zach.
Hard in.
Hardest of ins. It is I.
You've been Cyclops this whole time. I gotta open mine up. I still have not opened up my Cyclops.
Crack it open, dude.
Well, I got it like right before break, and then just
Gotta
haven't had a
get
chance to open it.
This little mug of coffee or hot chocolate.
It's definitely coffee. He's a coffee drinker.
Yeah, that's what I think too. But when they come back from the mission and they're and it's like maybe it's hot chocolate, you know, after you've had a tough day of fighting Magneto. And part of the reason why I included this accessory real quick is I love Cyclops's like vocal performance when he drinks this. He has this little beat of going like, it's good.
Yeah,
it's like I can't imagine that was written in the script. I can't imagine it said like Cyclops drinks takes a sip and says, that's good.
That's good.
I feel like the voice actor probably did that in the booth and they like worked it in.
Yeah, because it sounds so natural.
Yeah, there are a lot of little like flourishes that he did in that original Cyclops run.
I love that cartoon in '97 so much, and the actor who took over for him well, like you wouldn't have even known there was a difference. Like, I mean, when we had AJ on in the summer for the first time, and he was saying how like some of them were voice casted for voice matching, and it was like they nailed
Cyclops, it. They definitely did. Yeah,
right. It's so good. Well, for those of you who are new and here for the first time, I'm Doell, and I'm here with Alex Brewer, Mr. Fanplastic for himself. We do have some stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Diamond Comic Distributors filing for Chapter 11. What does this mean for comics? What does this mean, especially for indie comics? I'm not even so much worried about Image. Well, maybe a little bit about Image, but I mean, like, DC's already been doing its own thing, and how's this going to go with, like, I'm not too worried about Marvel being owned by Disney and all that.
Yeah.
But I'm also very curious about just comic shops. Like, how do they find this? So this is going to, we're going to get into it. And then we're also going to get back. We talked a bit about it last week at the end of the show, because it was breaking news. I talked about it on Toy Anxiety, but that's just not enough. We got to talk about the Spin Masters tonight with Alex. And I mean, you got some takes on it too. And I think so, but we got to get into that. So before we even do all of that, let's say a quick howdy do to the chat. We got Stanley Eberhard is here. We've got Red Exomac 5. I dig that name.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really cool,
it's Red X OMAC.
That's what I'm hoping it is. Like Red X OMAC 5. Like, it sounds like it should be an anime from the 80s. Like, I'm really digging it. We got Andrew from Gatey's Toys is here as well. My forever dude, Bionic Funk, the professor of rickets, putting things squeeze on the way to the Pickatang. That is Bionic Funk. We got King Panthers here. My supplier, my enabler, Matt Bush, is here as well. Johnny Disco, Make Mine Marvel Legends. As you notice, if anyone's following us on Instagram, because I barely post. Social media is not my greatest thing to do. Stories are easy, but Make Mine Marvel Legends is helping us out, and we've been doing some collaborative posts on his pickups and stuff lately as well. So thank you very much. Luis is here. Hola desde Mexico. Come on, thank you for cheering me on. Hola desde Mexico. I think I got it. Topher Khan is here. Daith is here as well. Daith has been doing the marathon of the Wednesday night streamers. There's a lot of us. I don't know if you know this, Alex. There's starting at 5 o'clock Pacific, there's between two Sentinels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's the Fallen Fett Chronicles, which is our buddy Ernie, and then Yoko and all that.
Yeah. Right.
And she's on, they're on before us. They're probably still going. and then there's us, and I don't know who else there is, but it's like my replays on Thursdays, like it's nice, it's great because that means Thursday I got something to listen to while I type. It's fantastic. But Dave's been like,
especially if you're like for what I do, like if you do like arts, like it's amazing to always have something to listen to. Like
it is so good. And he's been pretty active on the Geek Dad Life Discord as well. $5.
Yeah, Dave, I know you from the chat quite well.
Yeah, there's been nothing but awesome. I got Stephen Lawrence is here. Ryan Pauly, hello Ryan. Tony Johnson is here. Mr. Johnny Cock. Johnny, let me know if you're coming out for Fan Expo again this year. Jack Knight 73, The Deadheads, Cougar McGillicuddy, Nick Dellinger, Randall Guzik, Bacon McShig. Oh man, Shondo Gecko, a lot of familiar names. Great seeing you all back. Great seeing you all here. All right. Should we do some quick pickups? My comic shop still has not received our
what? What?
Yep. I guess maybe people that ordered directly from the publisher might have gotten them first, and they're shipping. Like, who knows? There's probably like a ton of comic shops. I know the one in Saskatoon said they were like, we ordered a ton of them.
I think the publisher is in Italy. So I got mine from Italy faster than, well, I guess it has to go to wherever for. We'll get there because we'll talk about distribution on this show.
For any of you who don't do Ninja Toy Anxiety, I got a couple cool pickups though. One is from our friends at Mondo. Right
there, he is.
I got the Juggernaut. Hang on, should I embiggen?
Yeah, I think he already is.
He is pretty big. He's a pretty big dude. This is a Tommy Hodges sculpt.
Yep.
Correct.
It's a Tommy Tommy loves Juggernaut. He loves Apocalypse. He loves the big monstery guys, and you can tell.
Look at that
how much
face.
He loves. Yeah,
it's so Capcom.
Yeah, right.
It's so good.
Huggernaut.
Huggernaut. Yeah, that's what I was calling. Yesterday I was doing my Juggy instead of my buddy. For any of those 80s
my
kids.
Juggy. Yeah.
I love this figure. I want to see more in this style, not just in X-Men, but man, there's a lot you could do with this scale and this style of kind of characters. Like you said, Apocalypse is he's an obvious pick. Hey buddy, it's me.
No one can stop me, you guys.
Hey buddy, it's me, Juggernaut. I just think Apocalypse in this style, you're right. That's a very that would fit in so well with this.
Yeah.
What was the other one I was thinking? Venom, obviously. Hulk, Thing. Thing would be amazing. A Tommy Hodges thing.
Oh, for sure.
Please.
There's a character who was on your top Marvel Legends wish list that I think would be awesome in this, but I'm not gonna say because I'm gonna keep it to myself.
Okay, that's fine. If anyone wants to try to make guesses, please go over to Toy Anxiety. I did a live stream on Sunday with Jacob Walsh, and I went through all the Marvel Legends I would wish that got made. It was not a prediction. It was straight up a please make this stream. And it was funny because once I started, I was like, you know what? I'll just do 10 of them. And then I ended up doing 10 in 7 categories. It was I
didn't realize how many we still need. But dude, where's Hepzibah on the list?
Well, do you know who else wasn't on the list? Was Shamu Gorath.
Yeah.
Right? He was.
Is that a Doctor Strange guy? I know he's in Marvel vs. Capcom. Shuma Gorath, right?
Yes, Shuma Gorath. That's it. Yeah, Shuma Gorath. And he's a Doctor Strange villain.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the deal is with that, but it was great. He's a good one. Another one that I wanted to put in there, and I wrote it down, but then I forgot to put it in, was I want them to go back and do the Micro Machine style play sets with the minifigures.
Oh, yeah.
And I want Marvel. Yeah. I want Marvel Legends versions of that because it's kind of if they can't do play sets, then in that scale, and they can't do them as HasLabs. And I get why, because I want I want just 2 walls and a window, which is just the danger room. Right? Like,
yeah. I mean, did you dig the fact that they were like little comic book covers?
I love that. And in fact, I think they should keep that same thing going.
But you could also do like an X mansion that opens up and inside is the danger room, or it's like the Blackbird and it like opens up and there's like Asteroid M playset.
I'm with you 110%, but I think maybe they should do both styles, just like Micro Machines did. They did like an Endor playset. They did Hoth separately.
Right,
Then they did the fold open heads, which I think like even Kenner ripped that off too. And they were like, well, we're going to do Batman ones. And they did like a Batman and a Riddler head that opened up.
Everyone did it.
Right? The Mighty Max style stuff.
Obviously. It's
and Polly Pocket, right? So it's I would love to see like Star Wars do that again. And man, I know I'm saying, oh man, because I'm just excited. I just really, really want it. But it's you could do like a Juggernaut head that opens up. It's a play set. You could do Spider-Man's an obvious one.
Yeah. Right. The Daily Bugle.
Daily Bugle, Avengers, like there's so much. Iron Man, you open up Iron Man's head and imagine it's his workshop with all his armor.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes.
You have like
the little thing you could cycle through. Dude, Doctor Strange, like a Ditko style, like crazy, psychedelic Doctor Strange.
He's not the only Doctor. Doctor Doom with a throne.
Oh yeah, dude. Baxter Building.
Baxter
this
Building.
is the year of Fantastic Four. Man.
I feel like there's so much you could do with it, and that should have made my wish list, but I think that's gonna have to be like another episode of Toy Anxiety where I just go, hey, I should do a thing just called Doell Pitches.
Yeah.
Right? Because I feel like I'm doing them every week on someone's channel, whether it's one of mine or like on Jay's on Geek Dad Life. I feel like I'm doing them a lot.
You're eventually going to be doing lists of your lists, like
my top
Marvel
5
Legends list,
yeah,
my Star Wars list.
Why not? I don't. I mean, why not? I honestly think I'm being put to waste by not sharing my ideas.
Yeah. Dude, I love the McDonald's land ideas you guys had. Like, that was sick.
Again, to me, it seems like just low-hanging fruit that's not being touched. Yeah. It's so weird. Hang on, before we get crazy on this, I got my one other pickup, Batman related. I got this as a Christmas gift from my buddy Paul. Here's the box for it. Oh, hang on, in biggin. It is the Batman Modern Suit 1/6 scale collectible from Batman Ninja. As you can see on the back of the box, I don't know if they made everybody, but I think
they're pretty ambitious silhouette.
It's a pretty ambitious silhouette, but I know Batman. So they did Batman, they did the Samurai Batman, they did the horse for Samurai Batman.
Whoa.
And Catwoman. So I know those ones are made for sure. I'm not quite sure who else is made. But it is a sweet, sweet figure. So good that I left it on the floor.
Sick.
Yep. But it's good. And why didn't I should have just done the thing where I make him light up, but I didn't. But he does light up, like the chest, and
he just doesn't have like batteries in him, or
it's like that. Yeah, I think. Hang on, or can I?
The cape is really nice.
The cape is really nice. It's got a really nice like fabric and mesh suit around the armor as well, so it makes it like really flexible, and the pants are cool. Like, just it's good. It's
cool.
It's a good set. Comes with like multiple heads as well. So you get like Bruce Wayne and
oh wow,
lots of accessories. It's freaking sweet. And I think a lot of the armor and stuff here too is magnets. So I'm not going to start tearing things apart because I know I will drop it. And then on the whole episode, I'm going to be like, where did it go? But it is super sweet. What was it? I can never remember the name. Star Ace is the maker of these.
They do all the like Godzilla stuff, right?
I believe they do Godzilla and stuff as well. Like it is super cool. But I'm super happy with it. It's going to be going on my shelf next to my my Hot Toys Battinson.
Oh, nice.
That's where it's going to go. Those were my pickups. You got any pickups?
I got no pickups.
Yeah, that's fair. That is totally fair. You know, we gotta save that money. Yeah, we're not. Oh, for the record, we're not going to talk about gaming on this episode.
Yeah, I'm behind. I don't know what the latest is.
Oh, we'll talk about it off the air. It is not good. It is absolutely horrific stuff. But we'll just leave it at that. The allegations are awful. But we got a couple super chats. Let's acknowledge those quickly before we get on to Diamond Comics. Matt Bush, so glad that Doell and Birthday Boy Jacob Welch finally ended their feud. Finally, after years of feuding.
Put it to rest. Buried the hatchet.
We buried it. That was it. It's so good. Johnny Cog, $5. Thank you so much. Doell, I will be there at the end of February. Bought an iPad Pro today to learn 3D sculpting. Where is
That's awesome.
Yeah, where is the Brewer DLC patch into my brain?
This
is so difficult.
I just took a dive into that too. Like I've got because you can do on the new iPad Pro, you can do Nomad is one program, but then you can get ZBrush for the iPad Pro, and it's like it's different. Like everything is like in a different place, but like if you subscribe to the full version, it's basically like what I use. I've been doing some stuff for work on it lately, and you can, as long as you have like the latest version of ZBrush, you can like move files pretty easily back and forth, and yeah, it's pretty amazing. So yeah, if you have an iPad Pro, like I recommend it. If you've been thinking about getting into 3D sculpting, like it's pretty great.
Yeah, I think I should get into 3D sculpting so I can start making my own danger rooms.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I can make my own additions to danger rooms. Like here's a spinning saw blade.
Yeah.
Connect to the floor.
Right.
That
panel that comes up that has a bunch of little spiky things that like Colossus hits. Like
you would need 2 walls that crush together.
Yeah.
You need tentacles, and you also need up in the higher level of it, you need those hula hoops.
Yes, for Angel to fly through.
Yeah, or Nightcrawler
or Jean Grey to move. Yeah.
And then you need the shooting cylinders that come out.
Yeah, there's ones that are in the early days are just like giant bean bags that like shoots at Beast. Like
that's what we're gonna do. None of this Shi'ar technology. I
kind of hoped like if they do a new X-Men movie, I want to see that like old broke ass Jack Kirby danger room where it's like the best that Xavier could pull together for like $100,000 of his like inheritance in 1963. Like,
I would love for Marvel to take a swing and do that. Do a 1960s X-Men movie with the 5 originals. Now I understand that's like a lot of white. But also I think it would be really fun to see, just a more time period Marvel movies, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know if X-Men is like necessarily like if that's the era I want to see for X-Men, but like it's
not, but I think it's really like fun.
I don't know. I don't want to see a stripped down danger room like that. I want to see like full blown, at least like Claremont era danger room. But it was a funny notion I had at one point.
Well, I'm running with it. I'm taking it and I'm running with it. No, it is. I don't know, man. I love X-Men so much. What's this?
If you guys would be interested in this, I'd be happy to show some tips and tricks.
Ooh, are we have to start a Patreon where?
Oh yeah, yeah.
where you sign up for this and get some lessons. We could do it. We could set that up. Hang on. Let's see what we got here. Let's go through it. Let's talk about the latest news, the breaking news in comics here for a little bit, because I still don't understand what's going on. Diamond Comic Distributors. I know it's Chapter 11. Marvel's been in this position before. They managed to pull themselves out of it.
Over distribution, right? Because it was like it's I didn't really like we all know Diamond Comic Distributors. We all kind of have taken it for granted, but like I had never really like investigated the history of like comics distribution. But it is kind of like a story of boom and bust, with different companies kind of cornering the market at different times and then filing for Chapter 11 and somebody else kind of like taking. I mean, that's the story with Diamond. Do you know, Ryan, sort of the history behind comic distribution?
Well, so I do remember this. Gatey's Toys is mentioning it. So I'm old when I remember they monopolized the game in the 90s. I remember that being like a big talking point, especially even when you go visit the comic shop in like my late teens, and they always just like, well, everything is Diamond, everything is through Diamond. And you would get that, like it even still, like it's still a phone book, the catalog every month.
Previews.
Right. So I mean, it's still,
and that was probably a big advantage. I mean, I think they kind of, I mean, it was just looking at their Wikipedia, but they had a sort of, they did like all the right things to kind of earn the trust of the major companies, Marvel, DC, I think Dark Horse at the time, Image, like Archie maybe, and part of that I'm sure was like having this like robust catalog that they printed. It's like, this is all of our stuff, like this is making it easier for comic book stores to know what they had available, what to order things, like I'm sure, because I mean basically like, so at least in the early days of distribution, it's like having a warehouse and trucks to be able to move product to individual specialty stores, right? And then there's like sub distributors. It's like gets kind of more complex from there, but at least at its like very core, it's like that's the concept behind distribution,
right? And it's like, and I think the one thing that made also people just wanting to use Diamond as well, because they were gathering all that trust and all the things, it made it easy for the comic shops, right? They just had their book and they go check what they want, and they just go from there. But I know, go ahead.
Oh no, but I was just gonna say, like, but also on like the monopoly front.
Yes.
What's interesting is that so the whole direct market was innovated by a guy named Phil Suling, which is a name I know mainly just from it being mentioned on Cartoonist Kayfabe, but he was I think he was a comic book fan and event organizer, Comic-Con organizer, who created this model that was, because at the time, like, comics were only sold on newsstands, and the newsstands had like complete power over the comic book publishers. And Phil Suling created a model where comic book publishers could distribute directly to specialty stores, and they could circumvent the newsstand. They didn't have to let the newsstand dictate to them like how many titles they would put out, or like what they were willing to put out, or whatever. And I think the way it worked then too is like, there was like anything that didn't sell would be sold back to the publisher and then pulped or whatever, however that worked. The direct market allowed for sort of back issues to sort of be a place for them to store. And it came along at just the right time where like interest in comic book collecting like kind of took off at the end of the 70s, early 80s, like due, I think, to like the popularity of like the Superman movie and Action Comics selling at auction for like more money than anyone ever thought. And suddenly everyone's like, where are my old comics? Like, and just like, And so like there was a lot of interest in people going to specialty stores, and that's when things like really kind of pivoted from like newsstands to comic book stores and specialty shops and that sort of thing. And Phil Suling was the only game in town. And then another company, I think called Urjax, brought a what do you call it? Brought a monopoly suit against Phil Suling, and won, and they were able to obtain certain assets to become their own distributor. That company, Urjax, eventually was bought by the founder of Diamond and became Diamond Comics. So Diamond comic distributors. So
right.
It's like that's like the story of distribution. It's like, one person's on top, then another person takes over, and it's like that seems to be how it goes.
It's the cycle. The
cycle exactly.
So I'm sure it's going to happen all over again. It's going to be somebody else. I'm curious to find out like what you think on this too, because they didn't just distribute comics, they distributed statues, toys. That's where comic shops are getting their stuff from. NECA, McFarlane. Obviously DC Direct is part of like through McFarlane as well. That's why when people see those lists of like, oh, we got a leaked list of like superpowers figures, it's like it's not a leaked list. It's the order listing from previews. I know exactly what that page looks like, and everyone keeps saying it's a leak, and I'm like, you guys have never clearly have picked up a previews.
Yeah, but that's probably also not appreciated, that's how like information about merchandise is, and it only seems to happen to McFarlane. But yeah, so this Geppi started as a sub distributor. He was like a client of Urjax, and they fell under hard times. Or they filed for Chapter 11 in like the mid 80s, and he bought them out, and that became Diamond. And then in the 90s, Diamond sort of became the only game in town. They acquired their competitors. I think it was Capital. There were some companies that sort of like, because then the other part is that Phil Suling died suddenly in the early 80s of a rare disease, and some of the other competitive distributors sort of absorbed the assets from his company. So at any rate, Diamond eventually absorbed those entities and kind of became the only game in town, until Marvel decided they were going to distribute their own comics in like 1995 or 6.
Yes, hang on.
They acquired, it was like Heroes something was the name of like a distributor they acquired to distribute.
I brought something for this. Hang on, keep chatting.
Okay, I'll keep blathering. So Marvel actually in like 1996, I want to say, like split from Diamond to distribute for themselves, and it was like a disaster. Like I'd heard that like the comics were coming like folded up, and it was just like it was a total mess. And within like a year, Marvel is filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and I think maybe Diamond sort of, they took them back on as distributor, and also Toy Biz swooped in and basically acquired Marvel at that time, because Toy Biz had done so well with Marvel licensed products that they actually basically bought Marvel in the late 90s when they were going through bankruptcy, and that evolved into Marvel Studios. So it's like these things have like their eras. They have the moments of innovation, moments of competition, moments of consolidation, right? Oh, you're muted, Ryan.
God, it's like I'm at work. You're muted. No, I knew exactly where you went to the moment I got in. I was like, oh, you just did the whole history of Marvel. In that sense, hang on, we'll switcheroo. So I dug out one of these. This is a Marvel's preview from November 1998. This is when they said we're no longer going through Diamond. So for those who have never, like, first off, I love these. And this is when, like, even they would do, gosh, what was it called? Marvel Visions. And that was also a catalog. So they would be like, they would have interviews with, it was almost like Marvel Age mixed with previews. That's what Visions was. So they would have like interviews regarding like, oh, this new thing called Onslaught's coming. What can you tell us about it? And they would like have an interview, and then they would have all the things you could order in the back. And then this was kind of like a, this was the one that came later on where it's just previews. There's a little bit of interview in this, so
I'm too distracted by the ad for battle books in the corner. Do you remember those?
Oh my, I do. So in here they would have like the Daily Bugle stuff.
Oh, cool.
And then so here they would have more articles and being like, hey, what's happening? Right? Like here, because here they're previewing the Eric Larson run on Wolverine. Right. So they would have all these interviews and stuff. So when I went to the comic book warehouse in Saskatoon, I started picking up more Marvel Visions. It was so, look at this, Avengers versus Thunderbolts. But it was like, this is what, like, crazy that Thunderbolts was new here, right?
Yeah.
They would like, he was like giving me this judgmental tone of like, this is just Marvel propaganda, right? And I was like,
you mean their own catalog?
Own catalog? Yeah, that's what I was like. Yeah, of course it is.
Their
like
sales material,
right? And I was like, and again, this is all kind of stuff that you don't get these interviews and articles. Like, you can't find these anywhere else. These don't get reprinted, right? They might get reprinted in a whatchamacallit, like in a Epic collection.
That's a really good point, Ryan. Yeah, these are, it's like, very rare.
Right. And even though these aren't going to be as candid as Wizard, where they're just like, I am so sick of Marvel's bullshit. This is going to be more of them hyping it up. But look at this, like an interview with Billy Tucci. Like, it's like, again, you don't get this stuff. And this is and this, like you said, this is an interview about battle books and why he created them and what they are, right? Like, it's so crazy. And of course, then you've got your previews. Like, here, this is the stuff you're going to order. This is stuff all coming out. But here, what's really fun is that in the back, because they weren't going through previews, it was Marvel Direct. So now you've got your, like, hey, don't forget, you can order this for your store.
Oh.
Right? So
if only you could order that for your room.
Right? I agree. These are the t-shirts that are going to be available. Here's your hats.
And it all failed.
It all failed.
Failure.
So I have another one. I think I have another one back in Saskatchewan, and it actually had stuff for Toy Biz. So it had the Marvel versus Capcom wave.
Oh,
you can order that in here. So you could order Toy Biz straight from previews.
Which, by the way, real quick, I saw in an old Toy Fair magazine, there was a line of Children of the Atom figures that never saw the light of day, that they had like they did a segment on, and you saw like prototypes. And I think it was like Jesse Falcon talking about this line of X-Men Children of the Atom figures, and they were all like big, chunky, kind of. It wasn't exactly Capcom-y, but it was like, in fact, I think one of like the later series Colossuses, where he's like really big and square, that was in the Toy Biz X-Men line.
Right.
It kind of looked like that. Like maybe they ended up reusing that. Anyway.
And Jesse Falcon
discussion for another time.
Yeah, Jesse Falcon was just on the Fallen Fett Chronicles tonight.
Oh, cool.
I think we need to get him on this show.
Yeah.
We got 100 questions. And there's your battle books. Your infamous battle books.
I had the Storm one.
Can you guess which one I had?
I don't know what ones they made.
Just name a character.
Was there a Kitty Pryde one?
There was not.
Shadowcat.
If there was, I definitely would have had that one. I only had Rogue.
Oh,
And then when my niece was a teenager, she was going through my comics, and she was like, "Can I have this?" And I'm like, "Dang it."
it's a battle book.
The battle book. Now I'm like, we should get into battle books. We should play online.
Yeah.
We should figure out how they work. We should make our own battle books.
For the younger viewers, that was like an old version of Marvel Rivals done on paper.
That's what it was. I'm playing Marvel Rivals. Are you playing Marvel Rivals?
No, not yet. I want to though.
Okay.
It looks cool.
Let me know. Then we'll stream an episode one night of us us playing.
Yeah.
Hang on. We totally went off on a tangent.
Yeah, where were we? Diamond distribution.
So Marvel eventually ended up coming back to Diamond, right?
Yeah.
And then you said, like, in the chapter, all that stuff. They eventually ended up coming back. Then everything was all kind of hunky dory for a while, and then the pandemic happened.
Right. And this hunky dory is a universe wherein Diamond has cornered the market.
Yes.
And in a what do you call antitrust lawsuit was brought against them, which they won.
Yep.
The finding being that even though they had a monopoly in the comic book industry, they did not have a monopoly in the book publishing distribution industry. So like, because comic books are books, and technically a book publisher could, Simon and Schuster or a distributor could put out comic books. Like, it's like they're not the only game in town, right?
Right. And it's a fair point. It sounds like a really crappy loophole, but yeah, like it's
but it's also kind of what's like, what might be the path forward for comics now,
right?
One of them, right? Yeah. So anyway, it's as you were saying, like, flash forward to the pandemic, which was kind of like it seems like an inciting incident for all this. What's happening now?
I agree.
The instance being that the Diamond shut down their distribution when the early months of the coronavirus outbreak. They shut down their warehouses, their trucks. They're like, we're not shipping anything out, and all the comic book publishers freaked because they had all this. You don't miss a month. Like, they have all this merchandise, all this this product. They're like, what do you mean you're not going to ship it out to the stores? Like, and DC broke from them. DC was like, okay, we're out, Diamond, and they went with Penguin Random House,
right,
to distribute their comics, which I think maybe was Marvel already using them to distribute to bookstores at that point because of Disney.
I believe
when Disney acquired Marvel, they were sort of like, okay, well, we're going to distribute to like Barnes and Noble, but like, we'll still use, we don't want to like ruin the Diamond relationship with comic book stores and stuff. So like, they kind of kept that with Diamond.
But I mean, Andrew's making a good point here too, not about avocado.
He
clicked on that just as I clicked on it. It's like, God damn you, Andrew. Truthfully, Diamond is only reorganizing their finances. They're not out just yet. But they need to stop eating avocado toast and pull up their bootstraps.
But
and
also, I saw Bleeding Cool News. They owe quite a lot of money to like everyone. Like there's a long list. I mean, it's millions of dollars to and Penguin Random House, because I think they now distribute or represent DC, Marvel, and IDW. Like, that's, I think, part of what's creating this is like those huge players in the comic book publishing world pulled away from Diamond Comics distributors in the past 2 years or whatever, and now go through Penguin. And so that's, obviously that's like your whole comic industry right there.
Yeah, that is. And We were saying before we even came on here, we were like, I'm not too worried about Marvel, DC, IDW. Well, if IDW's already pulled out, it's fine. But I mean, like Dark Horse, Archie, especially in independents in the indie comic scene, until they find a new distributor that will distribute and help publish for these up and comers, it's going to be a hard go for them.
Well, and there's Midtown Comics is one of the distributors, and also a company called Lunar. So those are two distributors that I think, actually, I like misremembered. I think that's who DC used for their comic shop distribution when they left Diamond. So like there are like other distributors out there. And again, it's like in terms of looking at the industry, like that could be your sort of ebb and flow,
But there's a flip side to that as well, because Diamond had the monopoly, they were making the prices. So you had these indie guys paying like through the roof because they had to have this minimum and you had to pay this much, and then we'll distribute your comics.
Yeah.
Now, if there's a bit of a competition, that might be easier for some indie guy who's like maybe amazing. Maybe it's the next Flaming Carrot or Ninja Turtles, right? Or Concrete. Man, remember that era?
Oh, yeah.
What a time. Yeah. But it could be any of those kind of like new indie stars that just maybe just don't have the funds, and they're just below the funds that they need. Now maybe this will give them a chance to find their audience that they need. I mean, the internet helps with that too, but
I mean the landscape has changed so much, like, through social media and also just through how people get their comics. Like I read comics on here from
that's right.
Comixology, Amazon, which I guess that they Amazon absorbed Comixology, but like the point being, there are, and I'm sure that's its own struggle and challenge to get your work seen on places like that, but there are more avenues than before to get your work out there and into people's hands. And
right. Daith is asking, does Archie do actual comics anymore, more than digest? They do. They still do. They do a lot of reprints, but they've got like,
or is everyone like owned by IDW now? Like I don't like IDW seems to like own all of those smaller companies in some capacity, like
right, like Boom. I think they have Boom under their umbrella, and that you're right. Like they're kind of doing the same, but I mean it's IDW. They're still a smaller publishing company.
I also, real quick, as we're talking about like different avenues for indie comic creators, like webtoons, and like Alice, like her comic, it's like that's a whole new way in which people are
had like millions of eyes on her comic alone, which is insane to even comprehend, because comics can't even sell 1 million of an issue anymore. Right? Like, but you can go on webtoons and 1 million people can look at Alice's comic. Like, you don't have that she's coming on next week. I don't care. We're gonna talk about this, because it's really, I think this is a whole other conversation that we need to have about like really, like, I mean, we always kind of said like, hey, like, is print really happening? And we see this trend, and that had been happening before 2020, the pandemic, like losing comic shops. Oh, did we lose Alex or did we lose me?
I think maybe my internet is lagging. Can you hear me?
Is it? Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure if it's it's hard when there's two of us to know which one of us.
I know. It's anyone's
is
guess,
the one,
but I assume it's mine. My internet can be
chat.
Bad
let us know.
Yeah, who's the
one that's lagging?
Is it me? But yeah, speaking of this,
or is it you?
Oh, can you hear me? Can you? This is Clem Fandango. Can you hear me?
There we go.
Oh, it's definitely Doell. Is that true, or is that? Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So it's definitively Ryan. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. That being said, and I'm sure like we don't, this you guys know, but like support your local comic shop, especially during this time. Because I mean it's there's so much that still is great to go in person and see physically, and even if you're buying a lot of comics digitally, like there's still all kinds of art books and collectibles and that sort of thing that like it's great to have brick and mortar retail locations and whatnot. Yeah, man, Doell is down for the count. Here he is.
It's going in and out tonight. I don't know what's happening.
No.
Oh no. It's okay. It's okay. I can hear you. It's funny. I can hear you go, but it's like,
oh, that's just my new style.
Yeah, don't do that, because then you're gonna make me think that you do that way too well. You do that way too well. Right, but I mean, hang on. Where were we?
I just said everyone support your local comic shop. Right.
Yes.
Especially right now.
Especially, yes. Please. Yeah. And I mean, if you can't order, like, who knows what's going to happen when it comes to ordering things? Your comic shop will know better than we will. And hopefully they have some sort of insight what's going to happen. And again, remember, comic shops, all of them are independent businesses. These are all, so if you want to support, that's why we say support your local comic shop. It's not, these are not chains or box stores. Even if someone owns two of one, it's usually in the same city. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, support them, help them out. If you have a file saver, please pick up your files. Please pick up your books that you have on Saver.
Yeah.
Because that hurts them the most. But yeah, should we get into some Spin Master?
Yeah.
Let
us do.
Okay, everyone saw that we had the breaking news last week that this happened. We kind of dabbled into it because we were just kind of listing things off. Since then, somebody was nice enough to Photoshop a nice little checklist. We showed it off yesterday on Toy Anxiety. I'm sure a lot of people are talking about this, but we need to. We're called Gotham City Tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alex, yeah, I want to get your view on this first. This is the collection. I know last week our big thing was, where the hell is Lois Lane? That's still my big question today. But yeah.
I know. How are they putting that's the bad guy from Superman 4 or whatever? Like
Nuclear Man.
I haven't even seen that. They're doing that before Lois. What?
I know.
But yeah, I mean, well, so part of this too is that those retro collection Batman Forever figures are hitting. And I don't have any, but I've noticed on the back of on the card back, they got a little picture of Superman. It kind of mysterious, like a silhouetted, but you see the S Superman, and that don't look like a Christopher Reeve Superman to me. So I wonder, like, how much these are going to be like. I mean, maybe that's just like a placeholder image of Superman. On the back there, there's definitely a Superman coming, right?
Yes,
but it looks, I don't know, it also has, I mean, this is just going off of an image, but it looked to me to have more of kind of like the previous Spin Master, like Batman Returns look to it, right? Like it didn't really have that Kenner, like it looked like the arms like had like a hinge joint.
Right.
Just kind of the way they connected to the torso, like it looked more like what they did with their like Batman Returns Spin Master style figure. So I kind of wonder if, like, I mean, it's like these could be like more like Spin Master interpretations of these characters from this movie. I hope it's like if Kenner had done the Superman movie like they did the Batman and Batman Returns, but I'm not 100% certain that's like what we'll get.
But the difference is with that is that they put it on the retro card back.
Right,
the Superman logo.
Yes, that picture is on the back of the Batman Forever figures.
That's why I was thinking I mean, a lot of people are saying like Craig's acting pretty cocky, and he's like, "I got inside information."
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is what they're doing. So I was just like, and anytime anyone asks
me, Blake from Toy Collector Magazine, these were shown at a show.
He said, yeah, they were shown at a show.
They look cool.
Yeah, it's been really funny. Craig's not watching, so I can say this. It was really funny. So in another group chat, people were asking me like, Doell, do you think these are real? Doell, what do you think of these? And Craig would be like, actually, I think you mean, hey, Craig, right? Like he'd get really like defensive and like,
this is my scoop.
This is my scoop. And I was just like, and I would always be like, Craig, don't be rude. They asked me, I can answer the question. Like it was really, really funny how personal he took it. I was like, geez, dude, calm down. I'm speaking of these figures as well, because you're saying like, why are they doing Nuclear Man first? And then I see here that they're doing a Batman Returns 3-pack.
Yeah.
Our 3-packs. Hang on, let's lower this here for a second. Like it should be Zod and Ursa and not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like that should be. That's the 3-pack. Let's see if I can get a good photo of them, of the three of them together, because right.
Yeah.
And then if you do them as a 3-pack, you could put them in a triangle box.
Yeah. That feels like that's like Comic-Con exclusive stuff right there.
That's totally Comic-Con exclusive stuff.
Yeah.
But this should be a 3-pack, even without the fancy Comic-Con. I could see that happening. I could see that that 3-pack as a Comic-Con exclusive. They've the Zod will probably sell at retail. The other two wouldn't. Maybe they'll do like more like paint deco on the costumes, and like I could see maybe that being part of the plan. Right.
Yeah. But here's the other thing about this line that I find a little bit perplexing.
Okay.
Right. So these are like $8 figures, right?
Correct.
Or they're like $8 or $9. They're going for like an affordable kind of like like I think what what you and I are dreaming of is like a collector oriented line, like geared towards us, right? Like like give us the figures that like we could have had but never had, or just give us an updated, like use the new technology available to us to give us the Kenner style Batman, Jack Nicholson Joker and the Batman Returns Penguin and Michelle Pfeiffer, like give us those figures, but just with like more HD, like how what those figures felt like to us as kids, and now we can achieve with like technology, right?
Right.
But that's not what the Batman Forever figures are. Those from what I can tell looking at them is that those are using the original tooling, or whatever tooling. I could be completely wrong, like and if you're from Spin Master, you're in the chat, like let me know if you're seeing this, like. But this is just like as I'm looking at this, trying to figure out like what the strategy is. Like it seems to me that this is something more akin to like Playmates re-releasing like vintage Ninja Turtles figures, or who else has done that recently? Well, it's like it's the latest thing. It's like Ghostbusters. Star Wars and Ghostbusters. It's like basically you're not making new figures. You're using old tooling that you have.
Well, it's not the original. Yeah, we know it's not the original tooling, but they're using even the original designs.
Well, how
right?
do we know? Because like they're identical.
Oh,
like,
they're not identical,
but they're pretty close to identical. Like it's like that Batman is like the blast cape Batman. In that, like, Robin is the dive claw Robin.
Hydro Claw?
Or Hydro Claw. Right? The ones that the one is the most kind of perplexingly different is the Riddler, because he's bigger.
Right.
But it's the exact same sculpt, except for they changed like his arm was sculpted originally to hold an accessory that they adjusted. So like my point being, either they went to the trouble to like hire a digital sculptor that could like perfectly recreate those original figures, and all the money associated with creating new tools, which is expensive, and like to make something that looks essentially just like the figure that already exists.
I think what you just explained is exactly what happened. And here's why I think that. Because the hands are different, the posing is different, right? Like Two-Face doesn't have the sculpted in gun, for instance. Right.
But you can make that kind of adjustment to a tool that already exists.
Right. But also everyone's hands are bigger or shaped different.
Well, yeah, I have a theory there too, because like because I think the cheapest way to do this is you just have the factory handle everything. So and sometimes these tools, like they're old tools, like they get used for other things and reused for other characters and parts and get changed. And once that tooling gets changed, that's it. You there's no going back, right? So it's like it's like that Two-Face tool. Maybe that suited body got used for another character, and those are like the hands of like some other figure that we don't know about that was maybe like curiously specifically with that Two-Face is that the hands have these like bizarre symbols on them that are not from the Tommy Lee Jones. Like his flesh colored hand has like a weird like unpainted symbol.
Unpainted. Oh yeah.
And then the other hand has a different symbol. And so either to me those seem like they're either like some kind of call out to the factory, or it's just their hands from another figure that they like grafted on to Two-Face because they couldn't because they didn't want to have him with the gun, which is understandable because it's being sold at mass retail. It's Warner Brothers, and they maybe they didn't want him to have a hand that was designed to flip a coin, or maybe there's that tooling had already been changed for another reason. They didn't want to pay the money to change it back. My theory is like, so for the Riddler, that's the one that's like the most different, because again, like the original figure had his arm sculpted out like this to hold an accessory the new one doesn't come with. So it seems to me like you would have to retool that one, but it's the exact same sculpt except for the arm is resculpted. So I wonder if what they did is they maybe had like a prototype, like a test shot of that Riddler figure that they made a new tool from that. And because the same, like maybe like, because like the shrinkage occurs when like when you're in the pool, like when you're sometimes in the mold making process, and maybe less shrinkage occurs now with the modern materials or whatever, and so that's why he's not quite as small as the other ones. That's just a theory, but
man,
it's possible.
Okay.
Because then the other thing that I look at, so like oftentimes, like with production, certainly with stuff like this, is like the price is set first. They got their price point in mind. Like we want this to be $8, which is like what you remember paying when the original figures came out. Because I think that if I had to guess, it's probably geared less towards collectors like us buying for themselves, and it's probably more geared towards that like parent who's like maybe who has young kids and sees something that they were nostalgic for, like, oh, I remember having this Batman when I was a kid. I remember having this Robin. I haven't thought about this movie in forever, like, you know, in Batman Forever. And it'd be, you know, I'll get this for the kid, but maybe I want to, you know, it's kind of that like Motu Origins, you know, nostalgia play for the casual buyer. That's like what it reads as to me, because I think if you were really going after like the adult collector, these would be like the price of a reaction figure. These would be like $20, which, you know, seems like a lot for a little figure, but that's honestly like with inflation, like that is what a figure that cost like $7.99 in 1997 or 1995 would roughly cost today, right?
Right.
And if you look at these figures, in order to maintain that, you know, KB Toys 1997 or 1996 price point, if you compare them to the originals, they've had to eliminate the big accessories that they used to come with. So like that was a big chunk of plastic that they don't have now. And they pulled way back on the paint apps.
Yes.
Which is most evident in Two-Face.
Oh, and Riddler.
And by the way, they were like trying to be as conservative on the paint apps back in 1997 in the Kenner days too, but they still gave Two-Face his like white lapel spray and his little like silver like boot thing.
Silver the boot, they gave him the tie.
But the one thing, but Kenner back in the old days, they only paint the front of the jacket. Like if you flip them around, it's unpainted on the back. It's just black. It doesn't have the like maroon with the tiger stripes. Because again, it's like paint is expensive. Like every time, and so like and back that, you know, basically with the way figures like this are painted, is it's either a decal or it's like a like another little mold piece that you spray and you mask it off, right? So so this time around, Spin Master decided to have that backside, the whole full side of Two-Face spray painted, but his lapel doesn't have that like extra paint hit. And his boot doesn't have the like shiny part or whatever. So you see them cutting corners to you know, maintain that nostalgic price point.
Yep.
That just communicates to me that like they weren't spending money on new tooling. They weren't spending money, like this is trying to take probably materials they already have available to them, which granted, I think I mean, I don't know how it works with like this Kenner stuff, but like typically it does cost money to like take tooling out of storage. You know, these are like big, heavy tools. I'm kind of surprised they are still around anyway. But clearly a lot of these toy companies still have the old tooling. But so they at least put up the cost to like have the tooling brought back out and reactivated, reused. I'm just speculating based on like what I know of the behind the scenes of this stuff. It could all be new. It could all be, you know, but just that's my thinking, is that it is a play to reuse materials they already have inherited with the license, to capitalize on a casual buyer nostalgia trend at mass retail.
I will say this about these toys. The packaging, the art on the packaging is so good.
Yeah, whatever they didn't put into the figures themselves, like they put full force into the packaging. And because again, it's like the packaging is part of the product. Like it's all about like walking through the toy aisle at Target and seeing something that transports you back to, you know, when Toys R Us in 1995, when you're all excited about Batman Forever and like, oh, there's like the green, and even though it's all new, it still evokes that
feeling. It totally does. And I really hope, like, it has me excited to and hoping that all the packaging is like this. So even when we get Superman and Supergirl and Zod, you know, even the Batman, Catwoman, Penguin 3-pack, I hope all the art is just like awesome.
Yeah.
right?
But my theory with those figures is they will be reusing whatever tooling they have available to them
Right.
with some slight adjustments here, because again, it's like clearly we're not getting any of the original accessories. So like if there's a thing that was specifically sculpted to, work with an accessory, they're not going to include it.
Right. So this brings up
they'll re-sculpt it, right?
Right. And I think this leads into like kind of what Bacon McShig was saying. I can't see them putting out the Returns Penguin as the Superpowers repaint it was, though. Like, do you think that because they are clearly doing new sculpts, because we're getting Superman, Supergirl, we're getting some new ones.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So like, I mean, it's hard to say whether or not they'll be like, well, I think people will be nostalgia for the Penguin they had, not the Penguin they wanted. And I've got a feeling that might be a thing too. You think?
It's, it's perplexing. It is kind of confusing, because I would say that this Batman Forever retro wave fits one pattern that seems to run contrary to doing all new, like you said, like all new Superman figures. And also for Superman Returns, that's a movie that's a much older
right
audience. It's like Batman Forever, those are like the young parents that are sort of that target, no pun intended, demographic for buyers now, right? Like
right
but Superman, a movie coming out in 78, like at the beginning of all this stuff, it's like that's a much older, those
are the Gen Xers.
They don't have little kids, or they're not the core like little kid parents, right? And it's also a well-served, but so I don't know. So it's interesting. Like clearly there are fans at Spin Master who know what would be cool to do.
Well, one thing they don't know is that Lois Lane is cool to do. Maybe they should do that. That would be great.
I mean, again, like this opens the door. Like it's like their customers Target, right? Their customers Walmart. Like they have to play by the rules of retail, right? But if they decide to do more of like a Mattel Hasbro thing, and have a real presence at conventions, and try to have kind of like a more direct to consumer thing, it's like, yeah, do like a Lois Lane figure, like stuff that caters specifically to fans, like
to us too.
Yeah. To these two mooks.
Even John's he's new tooling, like
okay, so yeah, I don't know.
Right. So who knows? We'll find. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen. I guess Toy Fair's coming up next month. So we'll see what's going to happen there. I know there's been a lot of just online chatter. I haven't heard any kind of confirmation from Craig Goldberg of Toy Anxiety, and yes, have some, whether or not Todd has lost the license or not. It's hard to like. We're not in that loop. We don't know. Luis is asking, is it true that Todd canceled the Batman 89 wave except for Batman? Probably.
Well, that's another kind of interesting component to this, is that so McFarlane just did a Batman Forever, Batman and Robin waves,
like
and
Schumacher waves. Yeah.
Schumacher waves, and Hot Toys has done that too. So I wonder, I mean, this year is like the anniversary of Batman Forever, right? So like I wonder if this is also like a push from Warner Brothers saying, we want, we've got a anniversary year coming up, we want to promote these movies, or we just think that like the cycle of nostalgia has like come back around to Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, and seems like maybe there was some messaging to these companies to kind of like to focus on that first, in which case maybe Spin Master took the tactic they did with Batman Forever to kind of like get it out faster, right? And some of these other things are like, well, this will be kind of more what the retro line is like meant to be, right?
Right. I think my big question for Spin Master, like if they are doing new tooling, for instance, for like a lot of these characters, like especially like why are you doing Hydro Claw Robin and not just the Robin we saw on screen?
Right.
Right. I think
Well,
that's like,
but that makes me think like that's what they had. Like that's
right.
the tool that they
Right.
had.
And same with the Riddler. Like it's kind of like, why not give him the coat that keeps him safe while he's jogging at night, or even like, or just any of it. Like,
yeah, or just use that because there's a version of the Riddler that looks more screen accurate, right? Like use that figure.
Well, there was for Robin too.
You wouldn't need to resculpt either. Like you wouldn't have like so. Well, maybe maybe those were just figures that the toy designer at Spin Master was like, I love those are my favorite figures. Like I like the weird stuff. That's what people will be nostalgic for more so than the movie accurate waves that came later.
Right.
So
yeah. I mean, you're right. You're not wrong.
And they did. I believe the Batmobile is like all new, so that's like a new tool.
Yeah.
But granted, it's a vehicle, and they're more of like seem like more of a vehicle kind of company.
It's I don't know. I kind of hope there's a part of me that like because I do like these figures. Like they're super basic. Like I said, the packaging is super nice. I would not mind it if they got to keep making stuff for the new James Gunn movie.
Yeah.
And I would love to see some Kenner style Nolan Batman and Pattinson. And maybe even I would say Snyderverse, but I feel like if they make anything else Snyderverse, then the internet guys just go see, they're doing it, it's coming back. They're firing James Gunn. They're bringing back the toys.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think Wonder Woman, like all of it. I even like the Suicide Squad, like doing those movie characters in the Kenner, having like a cohesive movie, kind of like superpowers, but for DC movies. I think that's cool.
I love it. Yeah. I think it's great. And like I said, the packaging is great. Like this is one of the few times in a long time where I'm like, I would keep these on the card.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think the packaging is definitely part of the value, right?
I absolutely agree with that. John's making some points here. I know I just told you that last week, this is a big deal for them. And it's like, I hope so. It's a big deal to us. We're talking about it 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Everyone wants Kidult money, and Batman is Batman. It remains evergreen because they never go longer than 5 years without new media. Absolutely true. And that's like across the board, whether it's like animation, a movie, a live action movie, Batman's always somewhere for sure. And like he also said last week, there's pressure for the next big thing after Paw Patrol. And I would love it. I would love nothing more for it to be than Superman and Batman, to be like world's finest, to be like the next big thing for kids.
Yeah. And that's true. I mean, like this still works. Like this is still a great, fun figure.
We're all going to bring out our favorite ones that we just keep near our desk for inspiration and fun and love. We need to get you a cape. Yeah,
I know. This is just, yeah.
I love antifreeze Batman so much. I love it. I love the Kenner stuff. I love these. I don't know where these toys are available in Canada at all yet because we don't have a Target. I haven't seen anyone post about these things showing up at like Toys R Us or GameStop or Walmart because it'll be a different distributor, or even at all if we're even getting them. So I'm keeping my eyes open, and hopefully be able to get them right. Or hang on. Leo Denver Rex, great name. I was freaking in love with Batman Forever. I had outgrown in the Keaton verse and getting tired of the animated series at that time. How dare you? It's blasphemy. That was the first Batman movie I saw in theaters. That's awesome. That's a good one to see in theater anyway.
Yeah.
I think as a kid,
yeah. a lot of colors, a lot of neon, and yeah.
It's just a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's just a fun movie. All right. Do we have any more thoughts on the Spin Master stuff?
No, but excited to see what's coming. And yeah, fingers crossed for updated versions of these characters.
Same here. We're definitely going to be keeping our eye on Spin Master. Maybe we can get some. Well, I'll try. I don't know who to even contact. Maybe I should talk to Blake, see if there's a way we can get someone from Spin Master on the show just to kind of pick their brain a little bit and just talk about why Batman is so cool.
Yeah.
Because I think that's awesome. Also, props to Alex last week for his amazing humming ability, which is still like gets me giggling every time I think about it. If you have not watched last week's episode, please just give it a shot. It is super fun just to even just listen to. I think that's the reason why people are asking: is this a podcast yet? It's audio only. I gotta figure. I don't know. I will talk to Craig and figure out how to do that too.
We'll have to like rethink our if we do have to rethink our strategy and stop being like, and I mean I'm talking about this, right? Like I mean look at it.
Well, the strategy is just now. That reminds me of this antifreeze Batman from Batman the Animated Series from 1994. It was like one of the great commercial too. It's Batman. It is Ice Hammer.
It's Batman. Yeah. Be the Batman.
Be the Batman. Dude, so good. All right. So anyways, with that said, we're going to finish it up here. I got no final thoughts really either, other than go support your local comic shop. If you even just, let's put it this way, if you leave with just even one thing a month, and if that's everyone here that watches, one thing a month or buys one thing a month, not only are you helping out your local comic shop, you're just helping the comic industry, no matter who you buy what comic you buy. Support them where you can. If you read online comics, I mean, buy those too and help support if those creators have a Patreon or a Ko-fi, a coffee, is that what they call it? Or whatever it is, whatever they have to help fund them and help keep them going and keep them alive. Please do that. And again, a shout out to everybody and anyone that was affected in Los Angeles last week and still going on this week. If you know a way that you're able to donate or can donate to help to those causes as well. Talking to Jay from Geek Dad Life about maybe all kind of teaming up and doing a charity stream.
Yeah,
I'll keep you posted on that, Alex. So we're talking about doing that as well. So please keep your eyes and ears open for that too. So with that said, we will see you next week. And then, let's try to get Alice back and we'll pick her brain about her comic book.
And keep it tuned to Mondo and mondoshop.com in coming weeks, because you may want to be paying attention. I can't say anything more, but I'm just saying might be good to start getting ready for stuff. Here
we go. Get ready. And also right now, the Ramona Flowers is on sale right now too to pre-order.
Yes, yeah. If you're a Scott Pilgrim fan, I sculpted the soft vinyl Ramona Flowers, and she was very hard, very difficult to sculpt to get that that style or that likeness right. But
hey, sometimes she just has to change her hair color. I think she's a great one for a Safubi because you could do seriously a series of different Ramona Flowers.
Well, yeah, the special our exclusive version comes with two heads. Comes with a swappable head, so you can have the green. You can either have the pink hair with the goggles or the green hair with the little star Beretta.
I love it. It's so good. Okay, with that said, Mondo link down below. Alice's link down below as well. We've got some friends that have helped us out and have sent us cool things as well. They're all linked down below, so please go check them out. So with that said, have a great night, and we will see you next week.